Hey guys!
Hey guys, Sam here.
Stan here.
And little baby Who.
Yes. So guys, thank you very much for stopping by and watch this video. And I would like to thank you guys for the enormous support you guys have given us by subscribing to our channel and watch our travel journey in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And we're very, very grateful for that. Some of you guys have commented and made some suggestions in our Q&A videos from the past couple of weeks ago, and asked me how I was able to learn English and lose my accent, even though I came to Canada not so long ago. So yeah, today I would like to express my gratitude by sharing with you guys some of my learning journey and success I had in learning English and reducing accent.
Awesome. So yeah, because you came to Canada when you were 16.
Yes.
So
It wasn't.
you must have had an accent.
Exactly. So like when I first came to Canada, at the age of 16, I had to learn English from scratch. And as you guys all know, students learn English in China in school is very different from the rest of the world. You know, I barely spoke any English in class, and I studied English just to pass exams and get a good mark. And when I first came to Canada, and I had a very limited vocabulary in my repertoire, and I had very few like Caucasian friends besides my fellow Chinese students, just like me. And
you probably just spoke Chinese with them, right?
Exactly, I just spoke Chinese with them. I was at the same time I was very eager to fit in. And I remember my classmates would say, "Oh, like you have a British accent, and your accent sounds a little bit British." And I remember, because when I was in school in China, I was the textbook is that basically called Oxford English. And people learn English in China in a British way. Like they learn, I would say stuff like I can't do this. I would say, instead of saying like I can't. And
I noticed that when we were in Shanghai, there's a local Shanghai news station where the Chinese reporters actually give the news in English, and they all spoke with a British accent. I thought it was so interesting, and then that's what Danny told me, that we learn how to speak with a UK accent in school. So
exactly. So I want to share with you guys my journey in learning English from zero to hero.
All right, let's get started.
Let's just say my English in high school was a disaster. I didn't have very good marks, and I usually get like 65 to 70% instead, as compared to my math and science, which is usually 90 to 95%. But I was very eager to learn, to fit in. I was determined to get better in English, and I set a few practical goals. And one of the goals is to increase my vocabulary. And I remember having a notebook, and I would write things down, the stuff that I heard on the radio and on TV, and the conversation people had. Whenever I come across stuff that I don't understand, I would write it down and then go over it after. And
and I found this notebook like shortly after we started dating, and I was like shocked because there's all these common English sayings in there, and I was like, I had no idea that his English wasn't that great, because I couldn't really tell. I think he speaks great, but I guess when he first came, okay, I'm gonna show you guys a notebook so you know what I mean. So this is his notebook, and it's full of content. So for instance, one of the things in here is go up and smoke. So I was just like, how do you not know what that meant? But there's tons of these like common sayings
there's a lot of there's tons of stuff that I have in this book and that I have learned in my teenage years, or through high school, through college. Whenever I come across something on TV or subtitle that I don't understand, I would write it down, and I would go over it after, and I'll ask someone for help. So stuff like go up and smoke, in all fairness, it means to be fair. So I can say I have to say, in all fairness, we should get paid more. Or
so you even have like a little sentence using that phrase in context to remind yourself how to use it.
I have a lot of examples and stuff like epitomize or sentiment, no one will be any the wiser and stuff like that, and all touche, like stuff like that. It was like it's more like
A
idioms.
lot of vocabulary and pretty hard vocabulary too,
Yeah.
not just basic words.
Yeah, so this definitely helped me in learning English and increase my vocabularies and I practice. I remember having those things, write it down, and go over it and practice in my daily life. And this is probably one of the best way to learn English is to write down the stuff that you don't understand and just practice with people and practice and ask questions and get better and utilize it and practice with people in daily life.
Man, you were so dedicated because this book is full.
Yeah.
So you're a very good student.
Oh, for sure. And you know what? I have tons of content on this topic, and if you guys curious about this book and or want to learn some stuff that I have learned in the past, maybe make some comments. Let me know, and maybe I can make photocopy and sell it on Amazon or something. You guys let me know if I should do that. So there are a lot of things on this book is very practical, very effective in learning English. But again, that's the way how I learn it. Okay, so now let's move on. Tip number 2. Tip number 2 for me is having a support group. And I felt this is very, very important, very, very crucial in learning. When I was in college, I was, by accident one day, I was approached by some missionaries from a local church, and they invited me to join the youth group class on Sundays. And I decided to go, and I became very, very active in the community. And I remember, interacting with the local kids growing up in the church, and I would sitting down reading Bibles with them, and being one of few kids in that group class that don't have any English experience in the past. I was able to practice with them, even though stuff that I don't understand, they would correct me, teach me how to pronounce this words and that words, and I learn it through my mistakes, and I get better and better.
Were you ever nervous or scared? Put yourself out there.
Exactly. In the beginning, yes, because I didn't know. But I was very, like I said, I was very determined to learn, and my goal there was to get better and better. Joining a local gym class or any social kind of activities, join a class and talking to people and practice with people in your class, and would help you learn English. And this actually brings out to my third point in learning English. My third point in learning English is again, speak and practice in public, and never shy away from talking to people or speaking to someone in public or in your daily life. And stuff like going to the bank, talking to waiters, waitress, you ordering food, and instead of withdrawing cash from ATM, go line up and talk to a real people and get some help from real people. And if you want to order food or just order over the phone, don't just go chat with people online, because this will really reduce your exposure in learning English. And having that exposure would definitely help you learn, because every interaction and every mistake you make is an opportunity for you to learn to get better.
I remember you were telling me you had this experience at the bank with checks.
Exactly. I remember going to the bank for the first time. I want to get some checks, right? And I would say stuff like, "Oh, can I buy some checks?" And they're like, "Oh, you mean order checks?" And from now on, I understand I should have said, can I order some checks instead of saying buying checks?
And this is probably would remember forever based on that experience.
Exactly, and then you would learn forever, that you order checks, you don't say buy checks, and this will definitely help.
I feel people would always correct your mistakes. Everyone's so helpful.
Exactly, when people correct you and this is not what you should say, and you get better. Mm-hmm. So the fourth point in learning English is listening. What I'm about listening is, I have a habit of tuning to local news stations or my favorite podcast for half an hour every day. Listening is single most important element in communication skills. So the more you can understand people, the better you would increase your vocabulary, and you can slowly mimic what other people say. So by better pronunciation by listening to other people. So like I said, there's so many social media outlets and tools you can utilize nowadays. And one of my favorite channels are Howard Stern Show and Joe Rogan podcast, based on my hobby in mixed martial arts. So I would tune into the local news on Howard Stern Show, and I would tell a story and report back to Summer. Even up to this day, I would tell in a story.
Loves to listen to those things.
Exactly, I would tell news and share what's going on in life or in breaking news in the world. I would share with Summer just by retelling the stories. Things like that would help you grow, because not only you can listen, and also you can pick up the words, and you can go over the words that hear on the radio, and you can practice with people. And this will make practice makes perfect. That's it. That's about everything. So guys, today we've shared 4 different tips from my own experience in learning English. Number 1 is have a notebook ready, writing everything down. Here you go. Just writing everything down. Anything that you don't understand on the radio, on TV, conversation people had you don't understand, write it down and go over it and practice in your daily life. And number 2, have a support group. And join a support group, talk to someone just like me, join a church for a while, and then just practice with people, having a support system, and have people to help you to correct your mistakes and practice with you. And number 3 is very similar to number 2, which is to never shy away from having conversation, talking to people in public, because the more exposure you get, the better you would get. And number 4, listening daily for half an hour to your favorite TV show or radio station
or YouTube channel.
Just these are the things that are very relatable. I formulate my sentence, my thought, or my sentence very similar to some of my favorites radio DJs. So these are the things that I shared with you today. And thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. And please continue to support us. And if you have any questions, let us know.
Or if you have any tips, leave a comment below. Let's help each other out. And we're gonna be sharing more on this topic. I think Danny has something lined up.
Yeah. So in the future episode, I will share with you how I overcame my struggles in pronunciation. And stay tuned, guys. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye for now.